What if the single greatest secret of power has been hiding in plain sight, waiting for you not in books of philosophy, not in the shifting promises of the world, but in the simple realization that you are not separate from the infinite? Imagine for a moment that the same presence that designed the stars, that carved the rivers, that placed breath into your body, is not out there beyond the clouds, but alive in you, flowing through every thought, every word, every choice you make. To live one with God is not to plead for help from afar, but to recognize that the very force that sustains creation is the ground beneath your feet, the pulse in your veins, the light in your mind. This is not poetry, it is law, and when you know it, when you dare to live it, life itself bends toward you with power that does not break. Every man and woman is walking through life carrying either a hidden treasure or a hidden chain. The treasure is the truth that you are inseparably linked with divine power, and that by aligning your thought with this truth, you release into your affairs intelligence, peace, healing, and prosperity. The chain is the old lie that you are cut off, left to struggle, a creature bound by circumstance, and the difference between the two is not luck, not background, not privilege, it is thought. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. When your heart believes separation, you live in fear, in lack, in shadows. But when your heart believes unity, when it whispers, "I am one with God," then every room you enter carries the fragrance of victory. Do not make the mistake of thinking this is mere positive talk or surface optimism. The truth of your unity with God is the most practical, most concrete fact of existence. God is life, and that means the life you feel in your body right now is nothing less than His presence in you. God is truth, and that means the wisdom you seek is not far off, but waiting to unfold in your mind when you dare to quiet fear and listen. God is love, and that means the healing balm that dissolves resentment, dissolves guilt, dissolves fear, is already yours when you align with it. The first great law you must write on your heart is simple. God is not merely with you. God is in you, as you, living through you in every instant. There is immense power in saying it out loud, so that the subconscious hears, so that the atmosphere around you records it. I am one with God, and God is one with me. Say it softly, or say it boldly, but let it not be words only. Let it be a seed planted in thought, a declaration of identity. For you will discover that the world mirrors back whatever seed you plant. If you plant fear, fear grows. If you plant doubt, doubt grows. But if you plant divine identity, then strength grows, and opportunities grow, and peace grows. Say it again, I am one with God, and God is one with me. Think of how this transforms even the simplest tasks of daily life. The business deal that once filled you with anxiety becomes an arena for divine intelligence to act through you. The illness that once frightened you becomes an opportunity to see divine life reveal its wholeness. The broken relationship that once left you bitter becomes the very field where divine love heals and restores. Nothing is too small, and nothing is too great, for the law of God is not limited. The only limit is your willingness to believe and to act as if this presence were truly real in you. When you act as though God is absent, your life is heavy. When you act as though God is present, your life is carried. And yet here lies the danger that has deceived countless seekers. To speak of unity while still harboring separation in feeling. Many pray but continue to worry, ask but continue to doubt, speak of God but live as orphans. This is the subtle hypocrisy of the heart, and it blocks the flow of divine power as surely as a stone blocks a river. The law is exact. You cannot serve both fear and faith, both unity and separation. To be one with God is to renounce the illusion that life is against you. It is to renounce the false belief that power lies in other people, in outer conditions, in the whims of fortune. And when that renunciation is made, when you stand and declare your oneness, the chains fall. Consider the prodigal son who wandered into famine and despair, not because the father had turned away, but because he had believed himself cut off. His misery was not fate, but thought, and his redemption came not by earning, not by pleading, but by awakening to the truth. I will arise and go to my Father. That story is not history, it is you. Every time you feel lost, every time you feel starved for peace or supply, you are that son, and every time you awaken and affirm unity, The Father runs to meet you with robes and feasts and joy. That is the eternal picture of what happens in consciousness when you remember your oneness. What then is the method? It is prayer, but not as begging. Prayer, said Fox, is simply thinking about God, to turn your attention away from the problem and toward the infinite, to affirm not what appearances say, but what truth says. If you would see healing, affirm life. If you would see clarity, affirm intelligence. If you would see freedom, affirm love. The most powerful prayer is not many words, but one thought, held steadily, believed deeply. I am one with God, and God is one with me. This is not philosophy, it is science. It works by law. As surely as fire burns, as surely as a seed grows, the thought of unity manifests as strength, supply, and joy. Do not keep this truth as theory. Put it into action. Take a moment right now and write these words on a piece of paper. I am one with divine power, free from fear, full of life. Place it where you can see it. Speak it each morning when you wake, each night before you sleep. Let it saturate your mind until it becomes more real than the passing shadows of the world. This is how you ingrain the law into the very fabric of your being, so that when storms arise you are not shaken, for the roots of your thought run into God Himself. And so the invitation is not distant, not someday, but now. To live one with God is to begin this very hour, to align your thinking with truth, to walk into tomorrow knowing that the presence goes before you, works through you, and never leaves you. To look at obstacles and say, this too is an opportunity for God to reveal Himself. To look at yourself in the mirror and see not weakness, not lack, not fear, but the very image of the infinite clothed in flesh. For this is the truth, you are one with God, and to live in that truth is to live in divine power every day. When you understand that God is not apart from you, but alive as your very life, a new courage enters the soul. You stop asking timidly whether things might improve, and begin declaring boldly that the power of the infinite is already shaping your path. This is the secret of those who seem unshaken by storms, who walk through the same trials as others, but emerge with peace and even with joy. They are not lucky. They are not spared by fate. They have learned to think from the truth instead of from appearances, and when you too think from the truth, appearances have no choice but to yield. The ordinary mind, conditioned by years of fear, asks, but what if this is only imagination? What if I say I am one with God, but the rent is due, the sickness is real, the pain is undeniable? Here lies the dividing line between bondage and freedom. For the world is always changing, always whispering lack and limitation, but the law of God is unchanging. To say I am one with God is not to deny what the eyes see, but to affirm what the Spirit knows. And Spirit always overrules matter when it is held steadily in thought. This is why Jesus could stand before a storm and say, "Peace, be still." He was not hypnotized by the waves, he was awake to unity. Let me give you a practical exercise, as Fox himself would urge. Choose one difficulty in your life, one pressing burden. Do not fight it. Do not wrestle with it. Instead, hold it silently in your mind and speak over it this truth. God is here as wisdom. God is here as supply. God is here as life. And then add the seal of unity. I am one with God, and therefore one with wisdom, supply, and life. Do this not once, not as an experiment, but as a daily declaration. Watch how doors begin to open, how light begins to break in, for the law cannot fail. It is not dependent on your eloquence, but on your belief. This belief is not blind faith, but alignment. You know the sun will rise tomorrow because it always has. You know fire burns because it always has. In the same way, when you think unity, life responds, because that is the eternal law. Do not make prayer into effort or strain. It is not climbing a mountain. It is relaxing into truth. It is turning from the clamor of the senses and resting in the certainty that you and God are not two, but one. As a branch abides in the vine, so you abide in Him. And just as no branch can produce fruit apart from the vine, no life can flourish apart from this realization. Here is the danger you must avoid: living half in unity and half in separation. To speak affirmations in the morning, but sink into fear by noon. to declare trust in God but then rush anxiously to force results by your own strength. This double-mindedness cancels itself. The law is exact. To live in divine power is to live in singleness of thought. To say within, I do not know how the answer will come, but I know it must, for God and I are one. And that singleness, that refusal to waver, is what makes mountains move. Consider also how this unity reshapes your relationships. Most quarrels, most bitterness arise from the illusion that people are separate, competing, threatening. But when you see God in another, when you silently affirm that they too are expressions of the infinite, the poison of conflict loses its power. You no longer need to win arguments or prove superiority. You stand in unity, and from unity flows love, patience, and strength. This is why Fox taught that no grievance can survive the light of divine love. To forgive is not weakness, it is the recognition that God is one, and therefore division is an illusion. And what of provision, the fear that haunts so many minds? Here the law is most practical. God is abundance itself, not merely the giver of things, but the very essence of supply. When you think of lack, you are thinking apart from God, and separation always breeds fear. But when you affirm unity, when you dare to say, I am one with abundance, something shifts in the unseen. Opportunities appear, ideas unfold, helpers arrive, not because you begged for charity, but because you aligned with law. Say it and let it ingrain itself in you. I am one with abundance, therefore fear of lack is a lie. If you would test this, do so in the small matters first. Thank God silently before you eat your next meal. Declare, this food is proof that life sustains me. When you pay a bill, do not groan but affirm, this payment is evidence that supply flows through me. These are not superstitions. They are conscious acts of alignment. Every thought is a seed, and every seed produces after its kind. Plant gratitude, reap increase. Plant fear, reap struggle. The choice is always yours, and the law never fails to return what you sow. The greatest danger, Fox warned, is forgetting. To hear the truth once and then let it slip, to treat it as inspiration rather than discipline. But divine power is not a passing mood. It is a way of life. You must remind yourself daily, hourly, moment by moment, that God is present. Write it, speak it, think it, until it becomes second nature. Say with me, I am one with divine power, and that power sustains me in all things. Let this be the drumbeat of your heart, steady, unbroken, until every fiber of your being vibrates with it. And when the mind objects, when fear shouts, when appearances rise like walls, do not fight them with anger. Smile gently and turn again to truth. The storm will rage, but truth will outlast it. The problem will press, but truth will dissolve it. For nothing can resist the consciousness of unity. The world may shake, but you will be still. And in that stillness lies a strength the world cannot explain, because it is not of the world at all. It is the power of God living as you, and once you know it, nothing can take it away. The true test of unity comes not in moments of peace, but in moments of trial. Anyone can say, I am one with God when the sky is clear, but the soul that can whisper it when darkness presses close has discovered the secret that cannot be shaken. When fear prowls, when doubts crowd the mind, when loss threatens to crush you, that is the moment to stand, even trembling, and affirm, God and I are one. This is the sword that cuts through despair. This is the light that the night cannot extinguish, and every time you speak it in faith, the unseen power goes to work, reshaping circumstances and lifting you beyond what seemed impossible. Understand this clearly. Unity with God is not something you grow into, not something you earn after years of striving. It is already true, already established from the beginning. What you do is awaken to it. Just as a man may sit in a dark room unaware that light is behind the curtain, so most sit in life unaware of the presence that waits to flood them with peace. You do not create unity, you recognize it, and in recognizing it, you enter into freedom. This is why Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." The truth is simple. You are not alone, and never were. But the mind loves to complicate. It says, surely it cannot be so easy. Surely I must labor, sacrifice, prove myself worthy. Surely this cannot apply to me. These are the old lies of separation, and they must be cast down. For the law is impartial. It does not bless one and curse another. It does not choose favorites. It responds to belief. The moment you choose to think unity, you are using the same law that every saint and prophet has ever used. The very moment you dare to say, "I am one with God now," the law begins to move in your affairs, regardless of your past, regardless of your mistakes, regardless of appearances. Let this sink deep into you. Appearances are not reality. The bank account may be empty, but God is abundance, and abundance cannot be absent. The body may be weak, but God is life, and life cannot be extinguished. The mind may be clouded, but God is intelligence, and intelligence cannot fail. Appearances shift like shadows on water. Truth endures like the rock, and truth says that you are one with the infinite, and therefore all that the infinite is present in you now. Say it with me so that it ingrains itself in your heart. I am one with abundance, with life, with intelligence, and nothing can separate me from God. Now, notice what happens when you carry this realization into daily action. The meeting that once terrified you now becomes an arena to prove the law. The debt that once strangled you becomes the soil in which new ideas for provision take root. The diagnosis that once shook you becomes the place where divine life reveals itself. Every seeming problem is transformed when you bring unity to it. For the problem is not in the condition. The problem is in the thought of separation, and when separation ends, the condition dissolves. This is why Fox said that the quickest way to solve a problem is to meditate on the aspect of God most appropriate to it. This means that you can be deliberate if fear torments you. Affirm love, for perfect love casts out fear. If confusion blinds you, affirm intelligence, for divine mind knows all. If weakness drains you, affirm life, for God is your strength. Each aspect is a doorway into the same presence, and whichever door you walk through, you enter into the whole. Do not complicate it. Do not wander lost in analysis. Choose one aspect, hold it, declare it, believe it. And as you do, the vibration of your thought changes, and the world reshapes itself to match. For the outer always follows the inner, and the inner is yours to command. Here lies a profound responsibility. What you dwell on, you become. The man who broods on anger becomes sick. The woman who rehearses lack attracts more lack. But the one who disciplines the mind to dwell on God, to remember unity, to declare truth, becomes radiant with peace and strength. This is not chance, it is law. And you can begin this very day to train your thought. Keep a simple reminder in your pocket, on your desk, in your mind. I am one with God. Whisper it in the morning, speak it in the afternoon. Let it be the last thought before sleep. In time, it will no longer be a practice. It will be your identity. And identity is the key. For you do not get in life what you merely want. You get what you are. If you still see yourself as separate, as weak, as a beggar before fate, then even your prayers carry the vibration of lack. But when you see yourself as one with God, when you wear that identity like a robe, then everything shifts. You walk differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. And life mirrors back the unity you have claimed. This is why Jesus never prayed as a beggar, but always as a son. He thanked before the miracle appeared. He declared before the evidence came. He lived from unity, not toward it. So let us ingrain it now in our very soul. Write it, speak it, breathe it. I am one with God, and God is one with me. This is the foundation that cannot crumble, the anchor that holds in every storm. Repeat it until the words burn themselves into your subconscious, until the thought of separation feels like a foreign language you can no longer speak. For when this truth becomes natural, when it becomes your instinct, then life unfolds with a grace and power you could never manufacture on your own. You are no longer a beggar in the world. You are a branch of the vine, a child of the infinite, a living expression of God. The greatest shift occurs when you stop trying to reach God as though he were far away and begin to live from the truth that he is already here, already acting through you. This is the turning point where prayer ceases to be a cry of desperation and becomes a declaration of authority. It is the moment when you stop asking, "Will God help me?" and begin affirming, "God is my help now." That difference may sound small to the casual ear, but it is the line between weakness and strength, between bondage and freedom. For as long as you imagine separation, you are bound to fear. But when you claim unity, you awaken to divine power itself. Notice how the world constantly tries to teach you the opposite. From childhood, you are trained to believe in lack, in danger, in division. You are told that money is scarce, that health is fragile, that peace is rare, that love is conditional. These are the man-made laws of fear, and when you live under them, you shrink. But the law of God is higher, eternal, unbreakable. It says that abundance is infinite, that life is eternal, that peace is your natural state, and that love is the very essence of existence. To live in divine power is to reject the world's counterfeit laws and align your thought with the higher law that never fails. Do not confuse this with ignoring reality. It is not denial to affirm truth. It is denial to worship appearances as though they were ultimate. When the doctor gives his report, you honor his work, but you silently declare, God is life, and that life is present in me now. When the market fluctuates, you pay attention, but you affirm, God is abundance, and that abundance sustains me now. When conflict arises, you listen calmly, but you remind yourself, God is love, and love is flowing through me now. This is how you live one with God, not by escaping the world, but by carrying divine awareness into every detail of the world. Every day offers you the chance to prove this law. The smallest tasks become holy when you do them in unity. Washing the dishes, walking to work, answering an email. Each is an opportunity to say, God is here. And the great tasks, the trials that seem overwhelming, are conquered the same way. You do not need different power for different problems. The same presence that spins the planets is the presence that guides your hand, comforts your heart, and clears your path. Nothing is too small, nothing is too great, for the law of God is indivisible, and when you know this, life loses its terror. Let us pause here and take this into ourselves with a law you can write, speak, and remember. I am one with divine law, and divine law is one with me. Write it boldly on a card and place it where your eyes fall often. Speak it before you begin a new task, before you face a challenge, before you end the day. Each repetition ingrains the truth deeper into your mind until it becomes instinct. And when it is instinct, when it becomes your first response instead of your last resort, then you are living in divine power. The danger is always forgetting. The rush of the world, the chatter of fear, the voice of habit, they try to drag you back into the illusion of separation. This is why discipline is essential. Not grim, heavy discipline, but joyful, steady remembrance. Make it your practice to turn to God in thought, as often as you can. A moment here, a moment there, quietly saying within, we are one. Do this enough, and soon you will discover that fear has less grip, worry less weight, problems less power, for you have shifted the center of your life from separation to unity, and the world must reflect that shift. Do not wait for crisis to practice. Train your mind in the calm so that it will stand firm in the storm. The soldier does not prepare on the battlefield but before it. The musician does not master his instrument on stage, but in the hours of practice unseen. In the same way, train your thought daily to remember unity, so that when the hour of testing comes, you are not shaken. The habit of declaring oneness will rise up in you like a shield, and the storm will break upon it without harm. Think too of how this changes your vision of yourself. You no longer see yourself as a frail body, a troubled mind, a bundle of mistakes. You see yourself as the temple of the infinite, the place where God chooses to dwell. You carry yourself with dignity, not arrogance but quiet strength. You stop speaking words of limitation about yourself, because you know that every careless word plants a seed. You choose instead to speak words of truth. I am strong because God is my strength. I am wise because God is my intelligence. I am whole because God is my life. And these words, spoken steadily, form the pattern of your destiny. So here is your declaration for today. Let it be written, spoken, lived. I am one with divine power, and that power lifts me above every fear. Hold it in your mind when doubts come. Speak it aloud when circumstances threaten. Whisper it in the silence of your heart as you go about your day. For the more you affirm it, the more you believe it, and the more you believe it, the more life itself bends to prove it true. This is the law, This is the secret. This is the way to live in divine power every day. The soul that awakens to unity soon discovers that divine power is not a trickle, but a flood. It is not a small stream to quench a passing thirst, but an ocean without shore, and the only limit is the vessel you bring to it. If you bring a thimble of belief, you receive a thimble of power. If you bring a bucket of faith, you receive a bucket of supply. But if you dare to open your whole consciousness, refusing to limit God by doubt or fear, then the river rushes in with no end. This is why Jesus said, "According to your faith, be it unto you." The law does not fail, but men fail to claim. Think of this in your own life. Every time you have believed only halfway, every time you have asked but kept worrying, every time you have spoken words of truth but acted in fear, you have closed the door halfway and then wondered why the blessing seemed delayed. But when you aligned wholly, when you trusted fully, when you said in your heart, "It is done," how quickly things changed. For the law does not delay. It responds instantly to the thought of unity, as fire responds to a spark, as seed responds to water. The delay is only in us, in our divided thought. This is why Fox warned that praying while worrying is like planting seeds in stone. The words may be spoken, but the soil of consciousness is hard, and nothing grows. To live in divine power, you must soften the soil, clear away the stones, and let the truth sink deep. That means refusing to dwell on fear, refusing to rehearse failure, refusing to magnify the problem. Each time fear arises, turn from it and declare unity. Each time worry whispers, silence it with truth. This is the discipline of thought, and it is the difference between a life of struggle and a life of power. But discipline does not mean strain. Do not imagine that God demands effort as a price. Unity is not earned by sweat. It is recognized by surrender. The branch does not strive to receive life from the vine. It simply abides, and life flows naturally. So too with you. Cease striving to manufacture results. Cease analyzing how and when. Cease bargaining with heaven. Rest in the truth that you and God are one, and the result will unfold in its own perfect time. This is not laziness, but the highest activity, aligning thought with reality. Here is the declaration that will ingrain this truth into you. I am one with God, and all that is His is mine. Say it, write it, carry it in your heart. Let it replace the old thoughts of lack and unworthiness. For the lie of separation always says, you are outside, you must earn, you must beg. But the truth of unity says, you are inside, you are heir, you are son, you are daughter. And when this thought becomes your identity, you walk differently. You speak with calm authority. You make decisions not from fear, but from trust. And the world, by law, bends to match your new identity. Consider the story of the farmer who plants his seed. He does not dig it up each day to see if it is growing. He trusts the law of growth. He waters, he waits, he expects, and the harvest comes. Your prayers, your affirmations, your declarations are seeds. If you dig them up with worry, they cannot root. But if you hold them steadily, if you water them with faith, if you expect with certainty, then the harvest must come. The law cannot be broken, and every thought of unity is a seed guaranteed to bear fruit. Now, let us see how this applies in the field of health. Many live imprisoned by fear of sickness, repeating to themselves, I am weak, I am ill, I am fragile. And the body, hearing this message, conforms. But when you declare unity, when you say, God is my life, and that life is in me now, the body responds with healing, with vitality, with strength. Countless lives have been restored by nothing more than this shift in thought. For the body is servant to the mind, and the mind, when aligned with God, commands health. And in the realm of wealth, the same law holds. The one who believes himself poor attracts poverty, no matter his labor. The one who believes himself one with abundance attracts supply, no matter his background. Wealth is not about chance, it is about consciousness. To declare unity with God is to declare unity with abundance itself. So let this be your law. I am one with divine supply, and supply flows to me now. Write it down. Speak it with conviction. Let it be louder than the old voices of scarcity. For once the subconscious accepts it, opportunities appear, ideas flow, and doors open where none seem to exist. And what of peace, that treasure so many chase yet so few hold? Here again the law applies. The man who believes himself separate feels alone, burdened, surrounded by enemies. But the one who affirms unity rests in the certainty that God's presence goes before him, surrounds him, guards him. No circumstance can shake him, no insult can wound him, no storm can rob him of calm. This is not indifference, but power, the power of knowing that nothing can break the bond between you and God. And when you live from that bond, peace flows like a river. So ingrain this truth above all. Unity is not a dream, not a hope, but a law. And the law is this: what you think in unity with God must manifest. Think life, and life appears. Think abundance, and abundance arrives. Think peace, and peace surrounds you. The law is exact, unchanging, irresistible. So speak it now, not timidly, but boldly. I am one with God, and divine power flows through me today. Say it until your mind believes it, until your heart feels it, until your life proves it. For once believed, it cannot fail, and once lived, it cannot be taken away. The world will always try to persuade you that appearances are stronger than truth, that what you see with the eyes is more powerful than what you know in spirit. But if you yield to that lie, you give away the only authority you possess. To live one with God is to reverse the order to let truth govern appearances instead of appearances governing truth. This is the secret behind every miracle, behind every healing, behind every sudden breakthrough that defies explanation. It is not magic, it is law. The law that thought aligned with God is stronger than any outer condition. And when you choose to live from that law, life bends to match your faith. Consider the words of Jesus when he said, "Do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment." He was warning us that the eyes deceive, the senses exaggerate, the world screams limitation, but truth is quiet, steady, eternal. Right judgment is seeing with the eye of unity, measuring every circumstance, not by its noise, but by the silent fact that God is present. And once you adopt this vision, nothing can intimidate you. The debt becomes an opportunity for supply. The sickness becomes an opportunity for life. The conflict becomes an opportunity for love. Everything is transformed when viewed from unity, because unity is the higher law that rules all. But do not mistake this for passive dreaming. Unity demands practice. Just as a musician trains his ear or an athlete trains his body, so must you train your thought to rest in God. Left undisciplined, the mind will drift into fear, into complaint, into doubt. But disciplined, it becomes a channel for divine power. This is why Fox urged his listeners to treat themselves daily for life, for intelligence, for love. Not because God withholds these, but because the mind must be reminded. Every treatment, every affirmation, every moment spent declaring truth is like polishing a mirror until it reflects the light perfectly. The light was always there, but now it shines without obstruction. Let us then declare together what must be engraved in the soul. I am one with divine life, and that life fills me with strength and joy. Say it now, not as wishful thinking, but as law. Write it on your paper, and let your eyes fall upon it again and again until the subconscious yields. For the subconscious is the soil, and repetition is the water, and faith is the sun. And when all three unite, the seed of truth grows into visible reality. Life responds to life. Strength responds to strength. Joy responds to joy. What you claim in unity, you must become. Think of how this changes your understanding of prayer. Prayer ceases to be a transaction, a bargaining with heaven. It becomes communion, a conscious alignment with what already is. You are not trying to persuade God to act. You are persuading yourself to believe. You are not sending words into the sky. You are reshaping your consciousness to match the eternal. And when that match is made, the result is inevitable. Healing flows, provision comes, peace descends. Not because God has been convinced, but because the law has been fulfilled. Prayer is not asking, it is recognizing, and recognition is the key that unlocks everything. The danger here is subtle but deadly. Treating prayer as a superstition, repeating words without belief, mouthing formulas while the heart trembles with doubt. Such prayer has no power. The law responds not to syllables but to conviction. Better a single phrase spoken with faith than 1,000 lines spoken with fear. Say it once with certainty. I am one with God, and that is enough. Let those words echo through your being, and they will work more wonders than endless petitions ever could. For power lies in consciousness, not in noise, and the soul that knows unity already holds the answer. And here is another truth you must remember. Living in unity is not only for your own good, it radiates outward. The peace you claim becomes peace for others. The supply you affirm blesses those around you. The healing you experience lifts the faith of the hopeless. This is why Fox said that thoughts are things, that every uplifted mind adds light to the world. By living in unity, you do more than solve your own problems. You become a channel through which divine power flows into your family, your community, your world. To live one with God is to become a living blessing, silently transforming everything you touch. But do not imagine that the world will always applaud this. The mind of separation resents the mind of unity. People may mock, may doubt, may resist. They live in fear and cannot comprehend freedom. Do not be shaken. Do not defend. Simply remain in truth. The branch does not argue with the withered twig. It simply bears fruit, and its fruit proves its life. So too with you. Live quietly in unity, and your results will silence every critic. They will see the calm in your eyes, the strength in your steps, the peace in your presence, and though they may not admit it, they will know something greater is at work. So let this be your commandment for today. I am one with divine presence, and nothing can separate me from God. Say it when you wake, say it when you walk, say it when fear presses close. For every repetition drives it deeper, every affirmation strengthens the bond, every declaration ingrains the truth until it becomes unshakable. This is the practice, this is the path, this is the secret, and once mastered, it will not only change your life, it will change the world around you. For when one soul truly lives in unity, heaven itself touches earth. There comes a moment on this path when unity stops being an idea you repeat and becomes the very air you breathe. At first you say it consciously, I am one with God, as though reminding yourself of something distant. But with practice, the words sink below the surface, into the subconscious, until they no longer feel like repetition, but like instinct. You begin to wake with the thought, move with the thought, rest with the thought, and when that happens, the old fears begin to look strange, like clothes you have outgrown. You wonder how you ever lived thinking yourself separate. That is the mark of true transformation, when truth feels natural and error feels foreign. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. One dramatic prayer, one fervent burst of belief may inspire you for a day, but it is the steady rhythm of daily remembrance that remakes the soul. Just as water shapes stone, not by force, but by persistence, so unity shapes your life, not by occasional inspiration, but by constant alignment. The man who thinks oneness only in crisis lives a divided life. The man who thinks oneness every day, in small matters and large, lives in power unbroken. And you can be that man, that woman, if you will simply choose discipline over distraction. Look around and you will see the proof everywhere. Two people face the same trial. One crumbles in despair, the other stands calm and victorious. What is the difference? Not circumstance, but consciousness. The one who knows unity sees beyond the storm, feels the rock beneath the waves, trusts the law that never fails. The other, forgetting unity, believes only in appearances and is swept away. This contrast is not meant to condemn, but to awaken, for you too can decide which path you will walk. Will you live as though separate, or live as though one? Your answer will write your destiny. And so I urge you, take the law into your own mouth today. Say it with me. I am one with divine intelligence, and that intelligence guides my every step. Let these words ingrain themselves into your being. Carry them when you make decisions, when you face choices, when confusion tempts you. For the truth is that divine mind is never absent, never silent, never mistaken. And when you identify with it, its wisdom becomes your wisdom. You will find yourself led to the right place, meeting the right people, seizing the right opportunities, not by chance but by law. This is the cure for worry, the poison that eats away at so many souls. Worry is nothing but faith in separation, the belief that you must figure it all out alone. But when you declare unity with intelligence, worry dissolves. You no longer need to know every detail of the path. You trust that the next step will be revealed, and it always is. And as you walk, your faith deepens, because each answered question, each solved problem, proves again the truth of the law. Soon you stop asking, "Will it work?" and start saying, "It cannot fail." That is the confidence of unity. But beware of this danger, to treat guidance as optional, to ask God to lead, but then to ignore the whisper when it comes. Divine intelligence speaks in stillness, in intuition, in gentle nudges. If you drown it out with noise, if you dismiss it with pride, you block the very answer you prayed for. To live in unity is to honor those whispers, to act when you are led, to trust that the infinite knows more than your limited mind. And every time you obey, the channel widens, the voice grows clearer, the guidance becomes unmistakable. This is the fruit of oneness. And do not think that divine intelligence is limited to spiritual matters alone. It governs all life, from the highest vision to the smallest detail. It can inspire the artist with genius, the scientist with discovery, the business leader with strategy, the parent with wisdom. Nothing is beyond its reach, because it is the mind of God individualized in you. When you remember this, no task feels too great, no challenge too complex, no problem too tangled, for you know that you are not thinking alone. You are thinking with the infinite, and that union guarantees success. Let us seal this in thought with another declaration, for repetition is the hammer that drives truth into the heart. I am one with divine mind, and divine mind thinks through me now. Write it, repeat it, breathe it until it becomes a rhythm inside you. And watch how clarity begins to replace confusion, how ideas begin to flow, how confidence replaces doubt. This is not coincidence, it is law. For as you think in unity, so you become, and as you become, so life reflects. So the invitation remains the same. Live not as one who begs light from afar, but as one who carries the lamp within. Walk as though guided, for you are. Decide as though inspired, for you are. Live as though united, for you are. And when this becomes your way of life, when the truth of unity saturates every corner of your mind, you will know peace that does not break, power that does not fail, and wisdom that does not waver. For you and God are one, and to live in that realization is to live in divine power every day. There is a power that only reveals itself when you stop trying to control everything by human strength, and instead surrender to the law of unity. Most people exhaust themselves pushing, scheming, and struggling, believing that life is a battle of wills. But when you know you are one with God, the strain ends. You move with calm assurance, not because you are passive, but because you understand that infinite power is flowing through you. You no longer beg the door to open. You walk knowing that it must, for divine order is arranging all things on your behalf. This is not weakness. It is the highest strength, the strength of alignment. Think of how a sailboat moves across the sea. It does not create the wind. It does not command the tide. It sets its sail to catch what already is. So it is with you. Divine power is always blowing, always moving, always ready to carry you. But if you set your sail against it by fear, by doubt, by resentment, you resist the very force meant to propel you. When you set your thought in unity, you catch the current of God Himself, and life begins to carry you farther and faster than you could ever row on your own. Here lies one of the greatest revelations. The moment you truly surrender, life begins to accelerate. What you once chased begins to come to you. The opportunities you once strained for begin to appear with ease. The relationships you once worried over begin to harmonize. Why? Because you are no longer blocking the current. You are no longer trying to control the ocean with a bucket. You are letting the tide of divine power lift you. And in that lifting, what seemed impossible becomes natural. What seemed distant becomes near. What seemed hopeless becomes inevitable. But beware of the subtle danger of half-surrender. To say with your lips, "I trust," while in your heart you still cling to control, is to deceive yourself. True unity demands honesty. If you have not yet let go, admit it, and then choose again. For the law will not be mocked. It responds only to sincerity. You cannot trick the infinite with hollow words, but the very moment you mean it, the very moment you say, "Not my will but thine," the power flows. And that power is unstoppable, because it is not of you, it is God living as you. Let us ingrain this in the mind with a declaration that cannot be shaken. I am one with divine order, and everything in my life unfolds perfectly now. Write it on your paper, say it aloud, let it echo until it drowns out every thought of chaos. For chaos is only the illusion of separation. Unity reveals that all is already ordered, already whole, already sustained by the wisdom of God. And when you live from that conviction, fear loses its grip, and peace takes its throne. This practice transforms how you face delays and disappointments. Where once you would panic or rage, now you pause and affirm unity. You understand that even apparent setbacks are part of the unfolding. You realize that no good can be denied to one who knows he is one with God. You stop asking, "Why has this happened?" and start declaring, "This too must serve me, because God and I are one." That shift alone dissolves despair and brings the strength to endure until the harvest comes, and the harvest always comes. Think of how this changes your courage. The person who believes himself separate lives in constant defense, fearing failure at every turn. But the one who believes in unity walks boldly, takes risks, makes moves, not recklessly but faithfully, knowing that divine power supports him. He understands that mistakes cannot destroy him, that even missteps are turned to good when filtered through God's presence. He lives not timidly but expansively, because he knows that he cannot truly lose. For the infinite does not abandon its own, and he has chosen to identify with the infinite. And this courage is contagious. Others see it, feel it, and are lifted by it. Your calm under pressure becomes their reminder that peace is possible. Your faith in provision becomes their spark of hope. Your unity becomes their invitation. This is how living one with God not only changes you, but transforms everyone in your orbit. Without preaching, without force, you become a lighthouse, steady and unshaken, guiding others to safe harbor. And they will ask you how, and you will tell them, "It is not me, it is God, and I am one with Him." So seal this truth in your spirit. I am one with divine strength, and nothing can move me from God. Repeat it until your heart believes it. Carry it until your steps embody it. Live it until the world itself must admit it. For this is the law. What you hold in unity must manifest, and what you manifest in unity cannot be taken away. To live this way is to live above fear, above doubt, above weakness. It is to live in divine power every single day. There is a point in the journey where unity no longer feels like a practice you return to, but like a home you never left. The old tug of fear still tries to visit, but it no longer commands the house. Doubt still knocks at the door, but it finds no welcome. You begin to sense that everything, even the challenges, are but veils through which the presence shines. What once appeared as obstacles now appear as lessons, as stepping stones, as instruments shaping your faith, and you realize with wonder that nothing was ever against you. It was all leading you to remember the truth you now hold. God and I are one. This realization changes how you see time itself. The anxious soul is always rushing, worrying about tomorrow, regretting yesterday, missing today. But the soul in unity rests in the eternal now. For God does not live in the past or future, but in the present. And if you are one with Him, then the present moment is always enough. Think of the freedom in this. No longer enslaved to what was or terrified of what might be, you live with a calm power that knows all is well, because God is here. This is why Jesus said, "Take no thought for tomorrow." He was not calling for neglect, but for trust, the trust that comes only from unity. And notice how this alters your sense of identity. The separate self is always fragile, clinging to titles, possessions, opinions, afraid of loss. But the united self knows that nothing essential can be taken, for God Himself is its essence. You stop asking, "Who am I without this?" and start declaring, "I am, because God is, and God is in me." That identity cannot be shaken by criticism, by change, by death itself. It is eternal, because it rests in the eternal. This is the secret source of true confidence, the confidence that does not strut but stands, unbothered, unafraid, unbreakable. So let us anchor this with a declaration worthy of engraving on your heart. I am one with eternal being, and nothing can dim the light that lives in me. Say it slowly, with weight. Write it down, and look at it when shadows tempt you. For this is not sentiment, it is the law. When you believe you are one with the eternal, you live with the calm of eternity. You stop panicking at the rise and fall of circumstances. You stop measuring your worth by passing things. You begin to carry a serenity that no world event can disturb, because you know the source is within. But beware of the old trap, to forget, and to slip back into living as though you were a mere victim of chance. The world will try to hypnotize you again with its noise, its fears, its distractions. This is why remembrance must become habit. Just as the heart beats without asking, your mind must learn to affirm unity without prompting. This takes practice, but the reward is immeasurable. For once unity becomes reflex, fear loses its last weapon. You meet life's surprises, not with shock, but with certainty. This too is God working through me, and that certainty turns every event into victory. Think of how this practice transforms even grief. The one who believes in separation mourns as though the bond is broken forever. But the one who lives in unity sees through the veil, knows that life cannot end, that love cannot die, that spirit cannot be destroyed. He weeps, but not as one without hope. He grieves, but with the assurance that the presence is continuous, that what is loved is never lost, only changed in form. This is the comfort of unity, deeper than words, a peace that no philosophy alone can give, because it comes from knowing, not guessing, not hoping, but knowing that God is life, and you are one with Him. And what about success? The world measures it by comparison, by fleeting applause, by accumulation. But the soul in unity measures it differently, by alignment with God's purpose. You may build wealth, yes, you may achieve greatness, but these are byproducts, not the essence. The essence is whether you live today conscious of your oneness, whether you let divine power flow through you without obstruction. For when you do, success follows naturally, but it no longer owns you. You can enjoy it, use it, share it, but it cannot define you, for you are defined only by unity, and unity cannot be lost. So let this be your compass when the world tempts you with distraction. I am one with divine purpose, and everything I need to fulfill it flows to me now. Say it when ambition burns, when envy stirs, when doubt whispers. Let it cut through the noise and remind you what matters most, not chasing shadows, but living in the light of unity. For from that light flows everything else: peace, abundance, wisdom, strength. To miss this is to miss life itself. To hold it is to hold heaven on earth. And as you live in this state, others will notice. They may not understand, they may not use your words, but they will sense the presence in you. They will feel safer in your company, calmer in your presence, uplifted by your peace. This is not because of charm or talent, but because unity radiates. It cannot be hidden, and without effort, without sermon, without boasting, you become a silent witness to the truth that transforms. This is the highest calling, not to argue about God, but to embody God, not to speak endlessly of oneness, but to live it so fully that others taste it in your life. So we close this part with the truth blazing in your mind. I am one with God, and in that unity I am free, strong, and unstoppable. Repeat it until your being vibrates with it. Write it where your eyes can see it daily. Let it become the pulse of your soul. For once this truth takes root, nothing can unseat it, nothing can undo it, and nothing can deny it. You will have found the secret of secrets to live in divine power every day. When unity finally becomes the axis of your life, everything turns upon it with perfect balance. The storms may rage, the world may shift, but you stand unmoved because your center is not of this world. It is not tied to fortune or failure, not tied to applause or rejection, not tied to health or sickness. It is tied only to God, and God does not move. To live in divine power is to live from this axis, to wake each day with the quiet certainty that nothing can happen to you that does not pass through the presence first. And since the presence is love, intelligence, and life, nothing can finally harm you. Think of how this shifts your confidence. The one who believes himself separate measures every step, terrified of mistakes. But the one who lives in unity walks boldly, for he knows that even missteps are woven into the tapestry of good. He no longer trembles at decisions, because he trusts divine intelligence to guide. He no longer fears loss, because he knows divine supply is inexhaustible. He no longer fears death, because he knows divine life is eternal. This is not recklessness, but the highest wisdom, the calm assurance that comes from identifying with the infinite rather than the finite. And in this state, gratitude flows like breath. You no longer thank God as a distant giver, but as your own life. Gratitude becomes not something you do, but something you are. Every sunrise becomes a hymn, every task an offering, every breath a prayer. And this gratitude multiplies good, for the law is exact. What you appreciate expands. When you look at life through the lens of unity, you see blessings everywhere, and your seeing draws more into view. Gratitude is the language of oneness, and to speak it daily is to live in the rhythm of heaven. Now take this law and ingrain it as your own. I am one with divine abundance, and I give thanks that it flows through me always. Say it when you rise, when you walk, when you rest. Write it where your eyes cannot miss it. For every repetition deepens the channel, and through that channel supply, peace, and joy stream unhindered. This is the way to dissolve fear of lack forever, not by storing treasures in barns, but by storing unity in the heart. When the heart is full of oneness, the barns fill themselves. But do not imagine that this journey ends here. Unity is infinite, and every day reveals new depths. There will always be more to discover, more to unfold, more to embody. Yet you do not chase these as though far away. You live them now, in this moment, by remembering the simple truth that began it all: God and I are one. This one thought, held steadily, will carry you from the beginning of your life to its end and beyond. It will light your darkest nights, guide your hardest choices, heal your deepest wounds, and lift you to your highest joys. And what is the final fruit of this path? It is freedom. Freedom from fear, from doubt, from bondage to appearances. Freedom from the tyranny of circumstance, from the lie of separation. Freedom to live boldly, to love deeply, to serve joyfully, because you know the source is endless. The one who lives in unity is free, and freedom is the mark of the child of God. This is what it means to live in divine power every day, not as a theory, not as a hope, but as a lived reality. So let us close with the highest declaration, the seal upon all the rest. Speak it aloud, write it boldly. Let it thunder in your soul until nothing can erase it. I am one with God, and in that oneness I have life, love, wisdom, abundance, and peace. Nothing can be added, nothing can be taken away. This is the eternal law, the unbreakable truth, the living power. When you say it, believe it. When you believe it, live it. When you live it, you will see heaven on earth. Carry this with you into every tomorrow. Do not leave it here as mere inspiration. Make it your practice, your anchor, your rhythm. For the world will test you, but the law will hold you. And when others see your calm, your strength, your joy, they will ask what secret you have found. You will tell them no secret, only truth. God and I are one, and that is enough. Live it, breathe it, embody it, and you will know the power that cannot be shaken, the peace that cannot be stolen, the love that cannot be exhausted. This is your inheritance. This is your destiny. This is the life that awaits you now. The one who has learned to live in unity discovers that life itself becomes a continuous prayer. No longer do you set aside moments only to plead or to ask. You realize that every thought, every action, every breath is a declaration of oneness. You wash dishes in God. You walk the streets in God. You speak with friends in God. The division between the sacred and the ordinary dissolves, because the presence fills all. And when the presence fills all, life takes on a beauty that cannot be explained. Even the simplest hour is radiant, because the infinite shines through it. This is where the mind begins to quiet. For most of life, people are tormented by the endless chatter of thoughts, fears, plans, regrets. But when unity is your foundation, silence opens within. Not empty silence, but a living stillness, filled with intelligence and love. You discover that you no longer need to control or analyze so fiercely. Guidance comes without strain. Peace flows without effort. Joy rises without reason. This is the reward of letting the ego fall away. The small, separate self loses its grip, and the larger self, the God self within, takes its rightful throne. And this throne is not for you alone. For as you live in unity, others are lifted. The anxious feel calmer near you, the angry find themselves softened, the hopeless catch a spark of faith, not because you preach or argue, but because presence radiates more loudly than words. This is the hidden ministry of unity, to change the atmosphere wherever you are, silently but powerfully. Fox often said that thoughts are things, and when you think God, you project God. When you live oneness, you extend peace. This is how the world is healed, not by shouting at darkness, but by standing so full of light that shadows dissolve. But be warned, the temptation of the old self will still arise. Pride will whisper, "Look what I have achieved." Fear will whisper, "What if it fails tomorrow?" Doubt will whisper, "Maybe it was only chance." Do not argue with these voices. Do not fight them with anger. Simply return to truth. Say quietly but firmly, "I am one with God." Let it silence the lie. Let it dissolve the shadow. For the ego has no answer to unity, and fear has no ground where oneness is believed. This is why discipline matters, not to punish, but to remind until you cannot forget again. So here is the law to ingrain today. I am one with divine peace, and that peace flows through me into every place I enter. Speak it now, write it, imagine it wrapping every room you step into. Let it become so natural that when you arrive somewhere, people feel the shift before you say a word. This is no fantasy, it is law. The consciousness of peace cannot be hidden, and the more you practice it, the more the world bends to it. You become a walking sanctuary, a place where others glimpse God. Think too of how this unity makes you fearless in love. Most fear to love deeply because they believe they can be hurt, rejected, abandoned. But when you know you are one with love itself, you no longer fear loss. You love freely, without bargaining, without defense, without demand. You do not need to hoard affection, for the source is infinite, and this fearless love transforms relationships. It heals old wounds, dissolves bitterness, and creates bonds unbreakable by time. For where love flows without fear, God Himself is present, and what God joins cannot be severed. And in the realm of action, unity makes you bold, no longer paralyzed by indecision. You step forward knowing that divine intelligence directs you. No longer shrinking from opportunity, you seize it knowing divine strength supports you. No longer fearing failure, you attempt, knowing that even failure will be turned to good. This does not mean recklessness, it means confidence, the confidence of a soul that knows it cannot fall out of God. And such confidence is magnetic, drawing resources, allies, and openings from every side. So let us anchor this with one more declaration before we close this part. I am one with God, and in that unity I walk in courage, love, and peace. Say it until your heart vibrates with it. Let it be the rhythm of your steps, the tone of your voice, the anchor of your mind. For the more you declare it, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the more you live it. And the more you live it, the more life itself will testify that it is true. This is the essence of divine power, not a secret to be kept, not a theory to be admired, but a life to be lived, to wake and remember, to walk and remember, to rest and remember, until remembering is no longer needed, because unity has become your natural state. This is the destiny of every soul. This is the invitation before you now, to live as one with God, here, today, in this very moment.